Alright, CFR 2011, Title 49, Volume 3, Part 179, Specification for Tanker Cars, Part A, Introduction, Approvals, and Reports, Sub 179.1, General 179.2, Definition, Abbreviation 179.3, Procedure Securing, Approval 179.4, Changing the Specification of Tanker Cars, 179, Certification, Certificate of Instruction, 179.6, Repairs and Alterations, 179.7, Quality Assurance Program, 179, 8, limitation of action, states, local governments, Indian tribes. Subpart B, general design requirements, 179.10, tank mounting, 179.11, welding certificate, 179.12, interior heating system, 179.13, tanker car capacity, gross weight limitation, 179.14, coupler vertical restraint system, 179.15, pressure relief valve, 179.16, tanker head puncture resistant systems, 179.18, thermal protection systems, 179.20, service equipment protection system, 179.22, marking. Alright, subpart C, specification pressure tanker cars class dot 105, 109, 111, 12, 111, 12, 11, 4, and 120. Section 179, 100, general specification able to pressure tanker cars 179-100-1. Tanker built under these specifications shall comply with requirements under statute 179-100, 179-101, when applicable 179-02 and 179-03. 179-103 type. 179-104 insulation. 179-106 thickness of plates. 179-107 materials. 179-8 tank heads. 179-108 109 welding, 179 110 post welding post heat weld heat treatment, section 179 112 manway nozzle cover protection housing, 179 113 venting and loading and unloading valve measuring sample devices, 179 114 bottom outlets, 179 116 attachments, 179 117 closure of openings, 179 118 testing of tanks, 179 119 testing of safety relief valves, 179 120 stamping, 179 101 individual specification requirements applicable to pressure tanker cars, 179 101 1. Individual specification requirements 179 102. Special commodity for requirements of special tank cars. 179 102 1. Carbon dioxide refrigerated liquid. 179 102 chlorine. 179 102 3. Materials poisonous inhalation. 179 102 4. Vinyl fluoride stabilized. 179 102 17. Hydrogen chloride refrigerated liquid. 179 103 special requirements for class 114A and tanker car tanks. 179 103 1 type. 178 103 2 manway cover. 179 103 venting, loading, unloading valves, measuring sample devices. Section 179 103 4 safety relief devices, pressure regulators. 179 103 bottom outlets. Alright, subpart D, specification for non-pressure tanker car classes dot 111AW and 111AW and 115A. Section 179-200, general specification applicable non-pressure tanks class dot 111. Section 179-201, tank built under the specification must meet the requirements of section of 179, 200, and 201. 179, 203 type, 179, 204 insulation, 179, 206 thickness of plates, 179, 207 materials, 179, 208 tank heads, 179, 209 compartment tanks, 179, 210 welding, 179, 211 post-weld heat treatment, 179, 213 mainway ring flangeway pressure relief device, flange, bottom outlet, nozzle, flange, bottom outlet, washout, nozzle, flange, and other attachments openings. 179, 214 expansion capacity, 179, 215 closure of manways, 179, 216 gauging devices on top, loading, unloading devices, venting and air and inlet devices. Section 179-217, bottom outlets. 179-219. Reinforcement when used in parentheses not otherwise specified. 179-221, closure and openings. 179-222, testing of the tanks. 179-223, test of pressure relief valves. 179-224, stamping. Our individual specification requirements applicable to non-pressure tanker cars. 179-201, 179-201, individual specification requirements. 179-201-2, reserve. 179-201-3, line tanks. 179-201-4, material. 179-201-5, post-weld heat treatment corrosion resistance. 179-201-6, manway closures. 179-201-8, sampling device thermometer well. 179-201-9, gauging device. 179-201-10, water capacity marking. 179-211, 201-11, insulation. 179-202, 22, reserve. 179-220. General specification applicable non-pressure tank cars consisting of an inner container supported with an outer shell glass. 111.5. Tanks built under the specification must meet the requirements of the 179-220 and 179-221. Type, insulation, thickness, plates, materials, tank heads, compartment tanks, welding, post-welded heat treatment, and inner container mantle nozzle can cover opening in tanks. Support system, inner container expansion capacity, gauging devices, top loading and unloading devices, venting air and inlet devices. Bottom outlet reinforcement when used, appurtenancies not otherwise specified, closures, openings, test tanks, test pressure, relief valve, stamping, stenciling, individual specification requirements applicable to tanker cars, tanks consisting of an inner tank supported with an outer shell, individual specification requirements. Subpart E, specification of multiple unit tanker car tank class .106A and 110AW. General specification applicable to multiple tanker cars designed for the remove of the car structure and filling empty class and emptying. Classes .106A and 110AW. Tanks built under the specification shall meet the requirements of section 179-300, 179-301. Type of the general requirements: insulation, thickness of the plate, material, tanker heads, welding, post-welded heat treatment, protection of fittings, venting, loading, and unloading valves, attachment otherwise specified, pressure relief devices, test tank, test of the pressure relief devices, stamping, insulation reports, individual specification requirements met for the multiple tanker cars. 179-302, reserved. Alright, subpart F, special specification for cryogenic liquid tanker car tanks, seamless steel tanks, class .111.3, 113 and 107A. General specification applicable to cryogenic liquid tanks, general type, insulation system performing in standard materials, bursting, buckling, pressure tanker heads, thickness of plates, sifting rings, sumping and siphon bowl, welding, post-welded heat treatment and supporting system for the inner tank, cleaning of the inner tank, radioscopity, access the inner tank piping, testing inner tank, valve gauges, pressure relief devices, test pressure relief devices, protecting, hosing, operating instructions, stamping and stenciling, individual specification requirements applicable to the inner tank for the cryogenic liquid tanker cars, tanks, individual specification requirements, specification .107A, seamless steel tank cars, tanks built under the specifications shall meet the requirements of 179-500, 179-503, type of the general requirements. Thickness of the wall, material, heat treatment, physical test, opening in tanks, protective housing, loading, unloading valves, pressure relief devices, fixtures, test tanks, handling the tanks failing in the test your pressure relief devices, marking, inspection, and reports. Appendix A, Part 179, procedure for tank head puncture resistant test. Appendix B, Part 179, procedure for simulated pool or torch fire testing. Subpart A, introduction and approval reports.